practical exam reviewing the organs, internal organs of the cat. The first one is this firm cartilaginous tube running down the ventral part of the animal's throat. You can see the rings of cartilage giving it support. To the back of that is another tube. Let's see if I can get this. Is another tube. It's much more fleshy and softer. It's much more fleshy and softer. Right here, another tube. Very firm, lots of cartilaginous rings, giving it a lot of strength and rigidity. And this is more fleshy, but it is a tube running from the mouth on down. Continuing on down, after we have cut the ribs, and you have to cut the clavicles, and you have to kind of break the rib cage down like this and snap the ribs, revealing the thoracic cavity. In the thoracic cavity, you have this lobed organ here. There are 3 major lobes on this side. You see that? 3 major lobes here. Now on the other side, they're down on the side of the animal. Here are the other lobes of this organ. So it's a large organ covering up a central organ, and it's lobed. The next one is the central organ. Let's see if I can get some of the tissue off of it. Serous tissue that helps separate and protect the organs from each other, from rubbing against each other. Every time this contracts, you don't want it to rub against the previous organ. So there's a sac here. You can see this tissue here that's running along the organ. I'm going to cut it. You will not have to know this for the exam, but it's quite interesting. And quite often, people will get this infection of this tissue here that surrounds this organ. Get this up here and down here. There we go. Revealing the organ inside. The next question would be, what is this organ, the central organ in the middle? The thoracic cavity is separated from the abdominal cavity by a large domed muscle here. It comes across here, attaches to the obliques and to the transverse abdominis. It's a large domed muscle. And when it contracts, it changes the volume of the thoracic cavity, which changes the pressure, which allows for inspiration. And then when it relaxes, expiration will occur, the breathing process. You note that there's a tube that actually runs through, remove some of this tissue here, that actually runs through right here from the mouth, passing back underneath this, comes all underneath this. This tube comes all the way down and actually enters this large dome-shaped muscle right here, passing through underneath, will enter into this large organ here. So the next question would be, what is this large J-shaped organ, large organ here, that entered from this tube, ran underneath this large muscle, and comes underneath and enters this large muscle. Let me remove this large organ. It has musculature to it as well. Clean this off. This mesentery is a connective tissue that covers the abdominal muscles. And I'm going to remove it here, revealing more abdominal muscles. You've got to slowly work around the organs. I'm not saying the names of the organs because this is a review and actually an exam for the class of 2009. And they're all getting A's right now, right, kids?
Yep.
Uh-huh. Notice it's attached to this deep dark red fleshy organ as well. Remove all that. Okay. So that's the mesentery. Leading from this large J-shaped organ, it goes into a small organ, small tubed organ that invaginates and rolls back and forth and back and forth. So the next question I would ask is, what is this long, small tube organ, the whole thing? And you can note that there is vasculature to allow for the absorption of the nutrients here. This is where absorption, there's going to be more secretion, but all the absorption of nutrients are going to come via all these blood vessels. Where this large J-shaped organ meets the small tube organ, there's some tissue right underneath here. It is glandular tissue It has a secretory function. It's going to secrete stuff. I can't tell you what stuff, but it's right after this large organ where it enters this small, long tube. There's tissue right here that has multiple functions. It secretes 3 different things right here. That tissue would be the next question.
What the name of that?
The name of that is, yes. Then moving on, after you go through all of this thinner diameter tube, eventually you're going to get to a very large tube that's going to rise up, come across, and come back down. I'd like the name of this large organ here. And eventually it's going to go down into the rectum, and then the anus, and the food bolus will exit from there. Part of the excretory system, if you move over the organs to the side, you can see a very firm-bodied organ, and you remove some more of the serous tissue that covers organs and separates them out so that they don't endure too much friction between them as they move around. I'm trying to get that off. There we go. There we go. You can see this large, firm organ. There's a pair of them. There's the other one is on the other side of the spine, lateral to the spine. There we go. There's the large, very firm organ. Very firm organ. You can see all the blood vasculature. It helps filter the blood and helps maintain blood pressure. And it has a tube that's going to run down from both of them. The other one's over underneath here. Right here is the other one. There's the pair. The tubes are going to run down and enter into this large, stretchy sac. It's a storage bag. It's very stretchy. This material here, this at a cellular level, is made so that it can stretch when it fills before it's voided. Okay. The last organ here in the abdominal cavity is this large, very dark organ. It's off to the side, to the left side of the animal. It's a very dark, deep red.
It's huge.
It is huge. It's very firm. I mean, there's something to be said about being able to dissect and touch the organs and feel, because remember, structure leads to function. This is very firm and dense, and it has vasculature that goes through, and it actually filters the blood and actually produces red blood cells and will store them. So it needs to be very firm and very strong. Okay, so that's the animal's organs that we'll be asked to recall during our practical exam. Hope you enjoyed it.